Anywhere from 10 to 15 people at a time have come here to get out of cold weather. He's hopeful people needing a place to cool off from the heat wave will come here too.
One of the reasons why we're doing it is just to serve others, and to help others. If there's an opportunity for us to encourage someone by offering a place to be cool and have a drink, something maybe to snack on while they're here, we'd love to help out anyone in our community in that situation.
Skyland Baptist Church is located at 3320 Skyland Boulevard East in Tuscaloosa. He says that they work with agencies like Compassion Coalition to locate people who need help to get out of severe weather conditions such as the heat here in Tuscaloosa. Your reporter in Tuscaloosa, Kelvin Reynolds, WBRC, 6 News on your side.
And taking you across the country now to the northern plains, where a destructive derecho brought hurricane-force wind gusts last night into early this morning. But first, well, we'll show you this graphic in a second. The storm's intensifying, though, in Iowa throughout the southern Dakota area before making its way to Iowa. Sioux Center, Iowa, seeing the highest wind gusts reaching 99 miles per hour. Check out some of the damage it left behind. At one point, more than 30,000 outages were reported across Iowa, with those numbers dropping as crews work to restore power. And taking you really quick back home, we're actually seeing some heavy rain and a storm moving through the Centerville area. Right here on our First Alert Sky Vision camera, you can see how gray and cloudy and gloomy it got so quickly out and about. We're still tracking a few more showers and storms across the area. We'll give you updates on that radar in just a bit. But meanwhile, most of us are waiting for the first fall breeze. I know that's right. San Francisco, though, they're already getting a taste of it. They're experiencing the coldest summer it's seen since 1982. The mercury there has only climbed above 70 degrees twice so far this season.
Oh, I think we were just kind of talking about how it doesn't really feel like summer. Some days it's kind of gloomy, like feels like you're, I don't know, under the weather almost, where you don't have the sun to mix it up. But I think there's a lot of benefits to being cooler as well. Much nicer to just go out.
The city is also seeing more rain than usual, too. All that moisture helps contribute to the fog that keeps the area colder this time of the year. Well, in 30 seconds, we continue to track showers as they move across central Alabama, and we're taking you beyond the atmosphere as we take a look at some new photos of the sun. We'll be right back.
First Alert Chief Meteorologist Wes Wyatt. We are tracking strong storms over parts of the area. Zoomed in right now out towards Hoover, the Hoover Met, and a lot of rain happening out towards Eden Ridge, High Point, Scout Trace, Brock's Gap Parkway, and the risk for lightning is certainly there. In fact, let's go to the lightning count, and well, not seeing, there we go. You can see there's a strike showing up. So some heavy rain, some showers developing, and these are rapidly intensifying into storms. A lot more lightning, though. You can see down towards Marvel along Highway 10 and expanding, looks like Montevallo at the moment now. Seeing a little pop-up storm right over the city of Montevallo. That's crossing Highway 25. So it seems to be a popular area right there for these storms today. Highway 25 corridor. All this is moving to the south direction. So this isn't moving towards Birmingham. This is moving to the south of town, but we still might see some development upstream. And let's go in here quickly. There's a storm that is over moving into Hale County. This one may go severe. I mean, it is quite intense. You can see almost 200 strikes with this one over Perry County. That's near Morgan Springs. So New Bern is right in this direction. So anywhere south of Greensboro, just give me the first alert. Let's watch this one. It might continue to track down in towards Uniontown and Fonsdale, but I'm watching it closely at the moment. Again, we have continued those first alert weather days over the next couple of days for the risk of extreme heat levels. I do think tomorrow we're going to be seeing those heat levels topping out. Looks like tomorrow above 105 in many locations, but we'll be checking in with our weather watchers and more. That's all coming up in First Alert Weather.
Well, thanks, Wes. Well, taking you around the world now to Portugal, where they're not only battling extreme heat, they're also battling wildfires. These fires are the greatest concern to firefighters today, with more than 2,000 of them on the ground fighting these flames. A fire started Saturday and has been burning for the last several days. Last year, at least 5 deaths were linked directly with wildfires and dozens of people were injured, unfortunately. Portugal has been experiencing a heat wave in recent days with temperatures hovering around 104 degrees. And as we continue talking about the impacts of the heat here on Earth, we take you to space now, where Dan Smith shows the latest images from the Parker Solar Probe in your moment of science.
December 24th, 2024, a Christmas Eve to remember for NASA scientists involved with one of the agency's hottest projects yet. But let's first go back some years to 2018.
Liftoff of the mighty Delta IV Heavy rocket with NASA's Parker Solar Probe.
The Parker Solar Probe was 1,500 pounds of ambition when it launched from Florida on a 7-year mission to touch the sun. The goal was to have the probe orbit 24 times using Venus for a gravity assist to get closer and closer with each pass. A 4.5-inch thick carbon composite shield keeps its instruments protected from up to 2,500 degree temperatures, and even being a few degrees of angle off would spell disaster. The probe does employ solar panels for power, which also tuck in behind the shadow of the shield so they don't get too much of a good thing with 5.5 million watts worth of sunlight. In fact, the shield's so efficient, the back of the probe stays at a mere 90 degrees, letting the probe become a modern-day Icarus without becoming a, well, modern-day Icarus. What about the sun itself? Well, the surface runs around 10,000 degrees, yet its corona can run at nearly 2 million degrees. Maybe because of how the sun's magnetic fields can trap particles trying to escape, letting those near-surface temps soar way higher than the surface itself. That's one of the weird things the Parker mission hopes to gain some insight toward, which brings us back to Christmas Eve. Recently, NASA announced the probe had indeed made its closest pass, beaming back these images from just 3.8 million miles off the sun's surface, or about 96% the distance between us and our nearest star. It also set a record for the fastest man-made object ever at 430,000 miles per hour. That would get you from New York to LA in 23 seconds. The camera attached to the probe more or less rides side saddle and doesn't look at the sun directly. You see those curls and flares going left to right? Well, that's all part of the solar wind that can spread out in all directions, and Whisper here managed to spot 3 of these coronal mass ejections interacting with each other. The probe had already found zigzagging magnetic fields bending back on themselves, raising more questions about that sizzling corona. The solar wind eventually causes auroras for us Earthlings once those charged particles are directed into the poles, but can also affect power grids and unprotected satellites, not to mention unprotected astronauts. Researchers hope this footage can help with space weather prediction and develop a greater understanding of that life-giving, hydrogen-fusing enigma some 93 million miles away. For this week's Moment of Science, I'm Dan Smith.
And a live look from, well, not a live look, but almost live. This just in from Shelby County near the Alabaster area. Joe Paul Cates sharing this, and the sky opening up. Look at that view out there at the moment. These storms are intensifying with this heating of the day. We've got a look from Montevallo there, and at last update, it looked like, well, we had quite a few birds there enjoying the flight there as those storms roll in. Well, you can see it just updated, 81 degrees. So some storms are in the vicinity there, so probably interrupting the feed there a little bit. You can see that lightning, though, still popping near 459. Some more development back in towards the Hoover Med and extending south. This is far western Shelby County down into parts of Bibb County, stretching all the way down to Perry County, seeing storms lining up now, roughly south of Heiberger and Marion down into Perry County, and some more storms that are tracking south. We had some rain around Weiss Lake, and now that's developing in towards the Anniston area. Still kind of scattered in here, Clay County, Talladega County, but there's some lightning. So just stay alert. Check the First Alert Weather app before you head outdoors. The good news is these little pop-ups, they're knocking down the temperatures in areas, but you can see how more of these storms are sort of eating away at the heat dome. I think tomorrow we'll see a greater coverage, and for areas to the west, still could see some of these heat index levels over 105. That's why we have another First Alert Weather Day. Notice Utah still feels like 110, and it was the hottest day of the year so far. We reached 98 officially, Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, 96 over to Anniston. So we saw those extremes, and that's why the Weather Service issued our first extreme heat warnings of the summer season out there today, and that's still in effect. So be careful out there tonight. Notice some improvements, but we're still showing feels like temperatures even through 8, 9 o'clock, still well into the 90s out there for this evening. All the storms should settle down after midnight. Some of this may keep going a little bit longer just because it's so hot and steamy out there. So check in with us 9, 10 o'clock tonight. We might still be tracking a little bit of wet weather, but tomorrow you can see that coverage starts to ramp up again. It looks like a good chance later in the day, and we're going to see even more storms by Thursday and Friday. We have carried over that First Alert Weather Day into Thursday for those dangerous heat index levels, but the conditions continue to improve. Maybe some 60s by Monday morning over parts of the area. We got some drier air that could try to work its way in from the northeast. I think some of that deeper moisture pushes south. So Sunday and into Monday, we're going to be talking about a 20 to 30% chance of rain. But how about highs in the 80s, 83 degrees? Hey, it's still summer in Alabama, but we will certainly take that improvement over what we felt out there for today. Meteorologist Matt Daniel joins us now with the latest on hurricane season and if we're tracking any new developments.
Well, we're finishing up July, making our way into August, and when we talk about summer and fall, we're usually thinking about the tropics as well. Here we are, we're finishing out the July, making our way into August, and you can see what happens as we start August. It's a big uphill battle because that's when the hurricane season really ramps up, especially late August and into September. So far, we've had 3 named storms. Dexter is next up. It would be our 4th named storm. The big question is, could we see anything tropical form as we go into the next week or so? So here it is when it comes to tropical formation in the month of August. Really start to look out farther towards the east into the central Atlantic and even to the eastern Atlantic. You get these tropical waves moving off the coast of Africa. The dust from Africa starts to be less obvious, and so it's more favorable for something to form, especially out towards as it gets closer towards the eastern Caribbean and then right off the east coast. So we're really looking all across the area from the Caribbean, the Gulf, east coast, and way out in the Atlantic for possible development. So the big question is, what can we expect as we go into August? Well, right now, pretty quiet across the Atlantic, but one thing I will note is we need to watch this tropical wave moving off the coast of Africa right here. This is something to watch. Now, the National Hurricane Center not really talking too much about it, but some of the models that I've been looking at is showing this trying to spin up into something. But the big question is it going to have any impact? Well, there's still a lot of dust moving off the coast of Africa, so it's going to have to encounter dry air, and dust, not a good thing for tropical systems. They need a lot of moisture and nothing that could prevent it. You can sort of see the spin as we go beyond into August. This is by Friday going into this upcoming weekend. See a little bit of spin, but it's going to be ingesting some of that dust and dry air, so it's going to struggle as it moves towards the west-northwest. But definitely have to watch this as it gets closer to the Bahamas and maybe into the Gulf, because the environment may be more favorable struggle as we go into next week. The models aren't showing a lot of consistency, whether something does evolve or not, but I have highlighted in yellow the area to watch as we go towards August 3rd through the 10th. A lot can change between now and next week, but just something to watch. I wouldn't cancel beach plans. I'm not saying we're going to see a hurricane or anything like that, but just something to watch. You get these tropical waves moving out. Sometimes they struggle up until they get close to the U.S. and then they can start to form into something. So we'll be watching this area as we go into the first half of August. But for now, everything remains quiet.
Well, thanks, Matt. Now it's time to check in with our First Alert weather watchers. Take a look at these high temperatures for today. Jemison 98, 95 in Oxford from Jerry Peak. Jemison was from Lynn Hall. Talladega, Joseph Williamson 96 in Oxford. Brandon Still reported 97. Oakman, Sarah Porter reported a high of 98. 98 in Birmingham from Joey Amberson. It's been so hot, and yes, we might see some heat relief for the latter half of this week, but beyond the 7-day, looks like the heat is gonna come back. August 6th through August 12th, we've got more dangerous heat possible across central Alabama, and more above average temperatures can be expected. And what about the rain? Well, take a look at our precipitation outlook. This is August 4th through August 8th, our 6 to 10 day outlook. As you look across much of the nation, it looks like most of the U.S. is going to be dealing with, actually, I'd say about 50-50. Above average rainfall to about below average rainfall, more for those drier areas like Nevada, down to Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, and even Texas. But as we look here across the southeast and much of the East Coast, still going to be dealing with above average rainfall, and that means more afternoon showers and thunderstorms, kind of like today, can be expected. If you notice our 7-day, there's a chance of rain over the next 7 days, and it looks like we're going to still be seeing some wet weather beyond the 7-day. Well, that's a look at that. We'll have more right here on First Alert Weather Extra when we come back after the break.
All right, well, we were showing you some of those views. A lot of rain out there popping up right now. It held off a little bit later, and that allowed that heat to really build today.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Similar story for tomorrow. We're going to see another chance for afternoon showers and storms, and even for the evening. So hold on to your umbrella and rain jacket. Stay cool. Stay safe.
Yeah, stay safe. And listen, we do have some strong storms. I notice a flood advisory has popped up over Shelby County, Bibb County. These storms are tracking south. Clay County, if you're south of Anniston, some intense lightning right now. So be alert for that threat of lightning through this evening. But again, first alert weather days continue through Thursday now because of triple-digit feels-like temperatures.
Yeah, we're battling the heat throughout this week. Some heat relief? Well, we'll tell you more about that tonight, first at 9. Have a wonderful evening.